The Spurs have a massive decision to make right now. With Dylan Harper showing off in Summer League, there are a lot of questions surrounding De'Aaron Fox's future and his contract, with a recent article from John Hollinger at The Athletic outlining the struggle between Fox and Harper and how we can manage his contract with this new CBA and such incredible guard depth as we look to build towards the future with Kelly Olynyk and some French dude. We have to dive into all of the De'Aaron Fox conversation and a big update on Dylan Harper's Summer League status. All that coming up in this episode of Spurs Digest. And Keenan, we're going to start with Dylan Harper because, well, let's just show it here. That's a little peek at the depth chart, but Don Harris today and a few other sources say, as expected, the Spurs are shutting down Dylan Harper at Summer League. He averaged 16 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists in 21 minutes. And we remember that amazing first game against Cooper Flagg and the Mavericks, Keenan. The defensive clinic, great rim pressure, defensive tenacity, and scoring. And look, he had a great Summer League. Only those couple games, but 16 points per game, 4 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal. I mean, I wish we could have seen a bit more. I'll roll some defensive clips in a minute. We know what his offense is, but the defense impressed me. How are you feeling overall with Dylan Harper showing this Summer League?
I messaged in the Spurs chat instantaneously after. I was like, yeah, no, we got our guy. Already sold on him. And it was because of this right here. Defensively is where I got sold on him. We knew getting downhill, he did that at an elite level in college, and we think that he's going to be able to do that, get to the lane at an elite level here in the NBA at some point. But defensively, if he can do this is going to make him go from a borderline all-star caliber player to an all-NBA level player in the league. And that is just what you saw early on. I understand these aren't Steph Curry and the great guards in the league, but what it shows is that he can put the clamps on some of these guys already in Summer League that are his age and supposed to be at his player level, but they're not clearly. I love it, and I'm glad we're shutting him down. There's nothing else I need to see. I saw enough from 2 games.
Yeah,
Enough.
I tend to agree. And I understand too the wanting to see more from the guy that we just picked, the guy who was putting up good numbers, super exciting in these games. But at the same time, it's a protection on your investment, right? You invest in this guy, picking him number 2 overall. And, he did have that mild groin injury. Whether that was a real injury or not, just, there's always going to be questions around the legitimacy of that. But if it was a groin injury, insane that he was doing this against the Dallas Mavericks, by the way. Again, especially that block. But yeah, I agree. I've seen enough. And let us know your thoughts down below. What did you think of Dylan Harper this Summer League? I mean, I think his shot is going to come along. There's no indication that it won't. I think the stats were great. His defensive impact, honestly, in my opinion, even a little better than advertised, and overall just looked like an NBA stud. So we're really excited for him moving forward. But Keenan, there's a lot of talk right now because after seeing Dylan Harper's amazing showing in Summer League, there are questions around De'Aaron Fox, right? We traded for him before we knew that we would get Dylan Harper. We had Stephon Castle. We're like, dang, okay, Fox, Castle, Wemby, that'll be an amazing group in our starting 5. But now that we got Dylan Harper, there are a lot of questions. And right before I dive into this article from The Athletic, just wanted to thank you guys again for the insane support. 9,200 subscribers. We've gained over 300 subscribers in the last 2 days, and we're so close to 10,000. We had that goal for the start of the season. We might hit that by the end of July. So if you're enjoying, hit that free button down below. We got Spurs content every single day. Thank you for being here. Keenan, on the subject of De'Aaron Fox, now, there was an article from The Athletic that is linked below from John Hollinger talking about Fox and an extension. He can sign a 4-year extension worth about $223 million on the 6-month anniversary of the trade. Both sides seem headed for a deal like this when Fox came from the Kings, but a lot of water has gone under the bridge since then. And before we dive into the proposed contracts for John Hollinger and how it affects our cap, do you agree here in the sense that, maybe Fox's extension just won't be that straight 4-year max like we were predicting? Do you think there could be an interesting wrinkle here, not just with Dylan Harper, but also with the way the CBA is structured?
I almost think it should be at this point. Obviously, when you trade for De'Aaron Fox, you think, okay, so you have at that point a healthy Wemby, healthy Fox, Stephon Castle, who looks like the rookie of the year at that point. You're like, this team could be a play-in to a playoff team this season, and next year they're only going to get better. Then obviously Wemby goes out, and then Fox goes out, and then the season goes over, and you get the number 2 pick. No one expected the number 2 pick. Even going into the draft lottery night, we expected the 8th or 9th. We got the 2nd. And when that happens, then I think Fox understands as a businessman, things might change because you get a guy like Dylan Harper, who we just talked about, The defense is there, the offense is there, the tenacity, the youth is there. So I don't think the long-term extension even fully makes sense as of right now because we have so many players that we could look forward to see, and I don't think that would be great and wise to do that at the moment, and I don't think the Spurs do either.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I thought a long-term extension was coming, no doubt about it, when we first traded for
Absolutely.
him. But it's like, it
Absolutely.
does raise the question, right? And there's that kind of like personal feeling like, yeah, Fox wanted to be here. Like, we want to lock up an all-star level point guard here. But now, like, he
Mhm.
wasn't amazing with the Spurs, but he had that pinky injury and he only played, what, 16, 17 games.
Mhm.
But I'm going to dive into the quotes here from John Hollinger because they are very interesting. And he said, one wonders if the Spurs can get a haircut on Fox's max deal that begins at 49.6 mil. Board money, or boards, whatever, I don't know how to pronounce it, I never do, but they value him at 44.6 for the coming season, at an extension that would pay him during the years the gentle decline in his age 29 to 32 campaigns. On the other hand, the cap will be rising, so that's another thing we have to consider. The rising cap does affect how much room you'll have in the future, so if you can get a haircut on a max deal, like Fox objectively, with pretty much any team in the league, is a max player. Any guy that's like
Yeah.
above an all-star level is a max player, even sub all-star level sometimes, but that is a very interesting point. And he goes on to say the Fox and San Antonio could approach this in two ways. The riskier one is a 1+1 extension for 2 years and a projected $13 million with a player option. That gives Fox his max and potentially lets him opt out in 2027 so he can get that 35% max. Now, before we get into the other option, Keenan, which is a little more team friendly, but probably not something De'Aaron Fox likes, this was the one that caught my eye, right? A 1+1 is something that you kind of don't anticipate in this case. But if you're talking strictly from a business perspective, when you look at what you have in Dylan Harper, again, still yet to be seen what he'll do on the court in the NBA, maybe you start considering this 1+1. But regardless, like, let me know your thoughts on the 1+1, but also I'm starting to think that a Fox extension might actually not come until we get a little further into the season to evaluate Dylan Harper a bit more.
I think that we might be getting past the trade deadline before we get a Fox extension coming in because the trade deadline will be the point of, oh, can we maybe move off of Fox if necessary? Obviously, if we can understand that he wants this extension and we don't have the money to give him this full extension, do we move off of some of the other pieces because of the fact that Fox, Castle, and Harper are working out so well? We'll see there. So that's going to be the thing. It's going to be interesting to see, but I don't think the extension's coming preseason. I think it's going to be coming in the season, if not towards the back half of the season. And then the 1+1 is something you see with players like LeBron often, where LeBron will basically say, like, yeah, I'm going to commit to you for a year, but afterwards there'll be a player option. We'll see how things go. It could be interesting here with Fox because of the fact that with Fox, we're now working on a year-to-year basis because of so much talent that we've picked up over the draft over the last 2 years. So the 1+1 might be the most realistic option to go with.
Yeah, from the Spurs side, but if you're Fox
Yeah,
and you're
yes,
like,
from the Spurs
right,
side.
and if you're Fox, you're like, I want my money now, and also I want to sign my max extension after this deal, like once I'm eligible for that 10-year thing, and now I've been in the league 10 years. So there's some questions there, but that leads into John Hollinger's other take here. A more realistic scenario is one in which nobody gets exactly what they want. And hey, that's a lot of the time how negotiations go, right?
Yes,
San Antonio locks in for
100%.
3 years at a flat 150 with a player option with flat 50 million a year. So maybe you could go, full 3 year with the player. So like you could go 2+1 or 3+1. There's some options there, right? But I think the big implication here comes with the cap. And if we take a look at the table here, thank you, Basketball Reference, for now having our new players and our rookies.
Absolutely.
We have lots of room, right? Next year, I mean, lots of room, but I'll break it down, right? Next year, we obviously need, like, not 25, 26, I'm talking 26, 27. After this season, Fox's extension is going to come in. And if you have him at about 50 million, okay, that's fine. But next year, as of right now, the Spurs have about 100 million in space under the first apron. So Fox could easily eat up half of that, right? So if you're eating half of your space to the first apron, then you still have to either re-sign or replace Harrison Barnes, re-sign or replace Kelly Olynyk, and then extend Jeremy Sochan. That could easily eat you right up to the first apron. And in this CBA era, especially with Wemby's new extension coming after the 26-27 season into 27-28, you have to future-proof for that. So there's, like, you could be right up against the first or second apron, Keenan, which just, again, in this world where we're seeing free agency not be what it used to be, even restricted free agents are not getting offer sheets because teams can't afford it. I feel like going for a team-friendly contract is what the Spurs are really going to hope for. And a guy like Fox that said he wants to be here, if that is the case, and he takes even a bit of a haircut on this deal, it could have major implications on the Spurs roster construction, even as soon as 1 or 2 years from now.
Yes, and the more you have to think about people like Stephon Castle and Wemby when making these deals, because if you give Sochan a 3-year extension, that means we're going to 28-29. That means you're into Castle's next deal. You're into Wemby's next deal. You're even almost creeping into Harper's next deal. Like when it comes to all this stuff, obviously we have to see how Harper progresses, and Carter Bryant as well, another guy. We'll have to see how he progresses. But when this Fox deal is really going to set the table for the next 5 years of Spurs basketball contractually, and what they do is going to be a huge indication to how much they value Fox and how much they value these young guys. Because if they're not willing to give Fox that high level money, that means that they're valuing Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, Wemby, and even Jeremy Sochan, and like saying, hey, these guys are our future. Or if they give Fox high level money, they're saying we have faith that Fox is going to be a high level player for at least the next half decade roughly, and these other guys will make it work when we make it work. It'll be interesting to see what the Spurs do.
I'm very interested to see what the Spurs are going to do, because there's there's a lot of questions now, and a Fox extension, like I said before, it was not something I really anticipated. I don't think anyone really anticipated being much of an issue. We were kind of like, yeah, I mean, look, we'll accept getting an all-star level point guard at a pretty much max deal, $50 million a year. We take it with Wemby. But now the situation's changed, and we would love to hear your thoughts down below, because this is one of these things that, you know, it's not going to be easy as I think we once thought. So leave your thoughts on all that down below. But that'll do it for this episode of Spurs Digest. And by the way, if you made it this far in the video, we do have a live stream coming up on Friday. We're going to be talking about all things Fox, Dylan Harper, and whatever news is out there around the Spurs. So tune in Friday around 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern. Take your lunch break. Share it with us. We'd love to see you there. But if you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for tuning in every single day. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host Keenan Warner. We'll catch you in the next one.